This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our exclusive multi-state cannabis operator sponsor, Curaleaf, one of the nation's top vertically integrated medical and wellness cannabis operators. With 53 local dispensaries, 15 cultivation sites, and 24 processing facilities operating in 17 states. You can learn more about Curaleaf over at curaleaf.com with Curaleaf spelled C-U-R-A-L-E-A-F. That's curaleaf.com. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Friday, April 3rd, 2020, and you're tuned in to episode 908 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. As he so often does, Kyle Yeager over at Marijuana Moment kicks off today's headlines with news out of Washington, D.C. that 11 Democratic senators have signed a letter to the leadership of the Senate Appropriations Committee asking that state legal marijuana businesses be eligible to receive loans from the Small Business Association. The Appropriations Committee is debating a spending bill for 2021, and the 11 senators would like the bill to fold in legal cannabis. Given the current state of the world and economy, those loans could make the difference between a marijuana company having to fold and it surviving and thriving. Of course, the Senate is currently controlled by Republican Senator Moscow Mitch McConnell, who has frozen every single bit of progressive legislation that has crossed his path that doesn't cut taxes for the wealthy. So I'm not holding my breath here. You can pop over to Kyle's piece for more and to read the letter in full yourself. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com. Mary Jane takes a good look at how the nation of France is being affected in terms of its cannabis supply, as that country has imposed a total lockdown while also closing its borders with neighbors in response to the coronavirus. As you might expect, with travel lockdown as it is, the illicit market in France, which does not offer any kind of legal option for cannabis consumers, has similarly been shuttered, which has caused a jump in the price of any still available marijuana products in the country, mostly hash in the case of French consumers. I like this story today as a small reminder of why it's so very important, even in the face of all the fires burning around us right now, that we have access to legal cannabis products. Kyle has another headline to take us out of our top stories with pickup of news out of Illinois that the state sold just under $36 million in legal marijuana during the month of March. That total was split between $27 million from in-state customers and $8.8 million from out-of-staters. That compares to $35 million in February and $40 million in sales in January, the first month legal adult use dispensaries were allowed to operate. As we've seen in every legal marijuana state, the coronavirus pandemic has been driving a lot of consumers to stock up, so I think it'll be more interesting to see how April's sales play out. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Curaleaf, one of the nation's top multi-state cannabis operators with 53 local dispensaries, 15 cultivation sites, and 24 processing facilities operating in 17 states. As we navigate these challenging times, Curaleaf is committed to meeting the needs of its patients, customers, and employees, and is taking a number of steps that includes holding special early hours for patient customers over the age of 60, as well as implementing a new ordering system that allows people to place and receive their orders right from their cars. Curaleaf is also unwavering in its support for the Veterans Cannabis Project, which you can learn more about over at vetscp.org. It's more important than ever that our nation's military veterans have access to the relief that medical cannabis can offer. Find out more about Curaleaf's newly adjusted operations and how the Veterans Cannabis Project is continuing its fight over at curaleaf.com and vetscp.org. That's curaleaf.com and vetscp.org. Huge thanks to everyone at Curaleaf for the support that helps us keep our news lights running. All right, time for the blitz. Canada has officially deemed medical marijuana to be essential in the face of coronavirus pandemic closings. The decree by the federal government is not binding, but it does provide guidance and cover for lawmakers and authorities at the provincial and local levels that actually do make the final call on whether any particular business or sector is necessary. Matt Lamers has more here over at Marijuana Business Daily if you need more. Keeping our sights in Canada, we have a story by Solomon Israel looking at the federal program being rolled out by Canadian lawmakers to help businesses cover the wages of their workers for the next 3 months. Unlike down here in the US, where legal cannabis firms have been told, more or less, to jump into the ocean when it comes to getting help from the federal government, Canada's take is a lot smarter and will, once implemented within the next 6 weeks, cover up to 75% of a company's employees' wages, up to around $600 per week. If you do business in Canada, this is probably a program you should know about. Another story you can dive into more over at Marijuana Business Daily. Activists in Idaho are throwing in the towel on a drive to collect signatures of support for a ballot measure to legalize medical marijuana due to the coronavirus pandemic, which has made it all but impossible to gather signatures. This is something we just saw play out in Missouri, where an effort to put adult use on the November ballot also went down in virus-fed flames. In the midst of all that is going on in the world with a killer virus ripping through society, you would think that police would decide that busting people for marijuana crimes might not be the best use of their time. But you would be wrong, because according to Mary Jane, there are still all kinds of dumbass police departments across the nation carrying out raids on cannabis growers and sellers. Pop over for the full read on this one. The Detroit Metro Times brings us news that this year's Hash Bash, an annual legalization festival held since 1972 that was scheduled to take place in Ann Arbor, Michigan this weekend, will instead be live streamed so that everyone can stay the fuck home and enjoy hearing music and speakers talk about how cool weed is. If you'd like to tune into the Hash Bash online stream, you can find a link via the Metro Times. With news of another canceled cannabis event, we have CBS San Francisco Bay Area reporting that the annual 420 gathering that happens each year in San Francisco's Golden Gate Park has been canceled for obvious reasons. And finally for today, we have Bruce Barcott over at Leafly with a very helpful story and chart showing when the number of coronavirus cases will peak in each of the 50 U.S. states, as well as Washington, D.C. As with most stories tied to this larger virus storyline, there is little good news here, but it is important to have the right information when you need it. So I would suggest taking a look at this to see how your own state fares. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again on Monday morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Curaleaf, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today. Today.
One take, Shay. One take.